it's Jackie from Clomp & Stampers, and I've got a video today for you to show you a bunch of tips and tricks for putting together your February card kit using the number of years bundle. As you know, the bundle comes with both the framelits and the stamp set. So we have a lot of fun cards I want to share with you, and then hopefully you'll just use the set over and over and over because the possibilities are endless. So let's just start with the stamp set in general. And I know I have showed this before to you, so if you've been in my club for a while or purchased my card kits, you may know this little trick. But as you can see here, and I'm kind of falling apart, but I take my photopolymer stamps and I actually take them off the plastic sheet. You can see here between the back, let's see if we can open it here. I stick the sheet with the printed image underneath my case with a couple of glue dots, and then I go ahead and I just put my stamps right on the case like you would with the clear mount ones. It just makes it a whole lot easier to work with that way, and then you can see what's missing when you go to put it away. You can see I have a few out because I'm going to use those today. And also, if you're not real experienced with photopolymer, you will know that they will stain, especially any reds or purples or those colors. They just get stained. I look at it as my set is well loved, because if it wasn't stained, it meant I wouldn't be using it. So a couple tips with photopolymer. And then the other thing that I would like to tell you, and again, this could be a repeat, but this is the Stampin' Up! Piercing mat. Whenever I stamp with photopolymer, because there just isn't any cushion on these stamps like there is with our clear wood mounted, I always put my paper on top of the piercing mat and then stamp. It gives you that little bit of a cushion under there, and it'll give you a much better image. So those are just a couple of tricks. So we're gonna set this stuff aside, and we're gonna just go right into card one. And I guess this one's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, we're just stamping. What I would recommend with these cards is look ahead and see what numbers you really need, or if you're not real sure, leave the numbers off and you can always add them later. So I know I have a friend of mine that's going to be 29 soon. Well, not really, again. So I thought I would do this one, so I have it all ready to send out. But when you stamp this, okay, we're just stamping the words. The again is on the banner. Now what you're going to want to do is make sure you stamp the banner first, and this is where photopolymer are so nice. You can see right through it to stamp the again on it. And then you're going to do this on your piece of scrap paper. Okay, I've given you a half a sheet. You've got plenty for all the pieces you need to do, but just, use it conservatively. Stamp towards the edge when you're cutting out stuff. And then once you've stamped it, then you will lay your framelit over it and run it through your Big Shot to cut it. Okay, stamp first, then cut, because it'll be real easy just to line this up. Now your numbers are stamped with Pool Party ink on Pool Party card stock, so it just gives it a nice solid color there, I guess, for lack of other words. But what I want to do in this first card is just show you a little bit how I stamp the flowers, and this is going to carry over to all of the cards, or almost all of them, that you do with this one. So let's just grab our stamp pads here, and we have Pool Party, Old Olive, and Watermelon Wonder. And then just a piece of white cardstock. Now, this is what's called a two-step stamping. So we're gonna just ink up our flower first, and I know my table tends to wobble a little bit. Let's put our piercing pad down here. So we're gonna ink that one up, and for this one, we're gonna stamp roughly in the middle. So give it some nice solid pressure there. I love the look of this set because it's got that watercolor look where your images aren't, super solid. Now we're gonna just take, and I always call myself flower illiterate. I couldn't keep a flower alive if I tried. So I don't even have a clue what kind of flowers these are, but I thought they were pretty in Pool Party. So we just stamp some of those, and then we can take our little one here. Now if you've got the newer Stampin' Up! Pads, okay, and there's really no right or wrong place. You can kind of see how to fill it in there. Put the flowers wherever you desire, but just a little tip on these pads, if they're the newer foam ones, make sure when you ink your stamp, you're being gentle, especially with photopolymer, because the tendency is, and years ago I used to tell people tap, tap, tap and really press hard, but if you do that, if I press too hard on here, they're so squishy, I'm gonna get ink. You can see here I have it on my block, I have it on my stamp, and then when I go to stamp, if I push or rock at all, I get just a mess. So be real gentle. Okay, we'll do this one again, real gentle on the pad, and then real, nice and solid when you stamp. But the key here is make sure you're not rocking, because when you rock, that's when you pick up stuff if you have ink where it's not supposed to be. So a couple little stamping tips there. So once you've stamped it, you're going to put it together, pretty self-explanatory from this point on. On the inside, I just did some more flowers in there, and then you do have the circles pre-punched for you. They are in your card kit. But with the happy birthday, I just want to show you, I put both happy birthday on the block at one time. They're separate stamps, but again, one of the beauties of the photopolymer, I can see to line them up. And now when I stamp happy birthday, it's all at one time. So there is your card number 1 in the card kit. Okay, let's talk about card number 2. Again, you can see the flowers here. The only tip I have, when you first start your green one, I have one kind of angled that way, and I put part of one here. But just go ahead and when you stamp that, because again, it's easy, you can see through it, come as close to the top as you can. And then when you put this together, you can just adjust this piece so it goes partly over them, so it looks like everything's coming up off of that layer. With this one, you're going to want to make sure, well, first I embossed this white layer with the Stylish Stripes embossing folder. You can use anyone looks good. We're just trying to add a little bit of texture there. But then make sure after you've embossed it, you adhere it to your crushed curry layer, then wrap your ribbon around and tie your bow. See if you can tell here, it's really just going around those 2 layers, and then I've stuck that down with dimensionals. Again, leave the numbers off if you don't know whose birthday's coming up, and you can always add those later. And then again, happy birthday was together on one stamp. But one thing I want to show you with the number of years, your words down here, and this is applicable for any greeting, but I'm kind of a fanatic about making sure I get things straight. So what I like to do is, so these are the words we're going to use. I am going to actually lay it down on my grid paper, and since I can see through it, I can line it up nice and straight on the lines on the paper. And then my block, what I will do is put this down to stick that stamp to it. But again, I will line my block, either the top or the bottom, along a line on the grid paper. So when I just press this down, press it down, I'm nice and straight here. I knew my words were straight. Press it down. And now I know, boy, my block's dirty. Can you see that? But now I know this is straight on my block. So when I go to stamp this, I can line up the edge of my block with the edge of the paper, and then I know it'll stamp nice and straight. So that's just a little tip for stamping things straight. So there we go, card number 2. Okay, here's card number 3, and it gets easier and easier as we go because we already know how to stamp the flowers on this one. Happy birthday is split. We've cut that out. I did add a couple of rhinestones on this. They're not included in your kit, but if you have some, feel free to do that. But the only real tip I have here for you is tying your bow. I get asked questions all the time about bow tying, so I thought I'd show you. You have a piece of baker's twine, which really is my favorite to use on a card because it is so easy to tie. And you're going to just double it. So take it, fold it in half. You can see the fold there. And I am just going to tie a little bow. So we're going to we'll see if we can do this on camera the first try. Okay, there's our bow. I gave you plenty, so you have room to play with it. So we can just pull the little tails here to get it how we want it. Sometimes when I'm doubled, I like to pull them through at different so you can really see the 2 pieces. Pull it tight. We'll snug this one up a smidgen. And then all you got to do is take your scissors, trim your edges, and there's your little bow. Just play with it. And then the easiest way to glue this, you'll see it's right here, is I like to use glue dots. So I just unwind these, find the next glue dot. You can actually press it right on there on your glue dots, pick it up. Now the glue dot's on the back and it sticks down and it holds wonderfully. So there's your little bow tying lesson. This here is actually the insert piece. You have a piece of white for this. I did do the numbers on a separate piece. And again, this would be if you want to leave the numbers off until you need it, or if you know what you want, you could stamp your numbers right on there. But I'm leaving this out for now because I'm not real sure what I'm going to use this card for. So I'm keeping them as separate pieces. So there's card number 3. Okay, card number 4. Again, super simple. The stamping, you already know how to do that. But what I'd like to point out on this one is these banners, the happy and the ST. So the happy, I actually stamped on my scrap paper, and these are framelits that were not part of this bundle, but many of you have them. It's the Bitty banner framelits. I tend to use these a lot. So we're gonna just use this bigger one. I stamped it, and then when I go to cut this out, I am going to line it up towards, was that the right side? And do it so then I can just trim this off nice and straight. That makes my nice little banner for the happy. Now, if you don't have these, you can simply cut that with the scissors. It's not really a big deal. And then the little ST, you will know with your numbers, you do have a little banner piece. Now, I always tell you, stamp first, then cut. This is a little difficult because you can't see through it. So what I actually did is I cut out of my scrap, cut out just a little banner, and again, because it's photopolymer, it was real easy for me to stamp my ST in there. Now, when you make this card, this one, along with the one I just showed you, in your card kit, these patterns may vary. They're from the same pack of DSP, but you might have a little bit different print because I had to split it up amongst all of the kits. And there we go. You have card number 4. One more to show you. Okay, guys, this is it, card number 5. Now, if you don't have a 50th anniversary, which tends to be what our gold is for, you really can make this for anything or a birthday or whatever. So don't be, warded off that it's just for a 50th anniversary. But what I want to show you for your tips on this card is how to emboss, because I know some of you are newer stampers and you may not have embossed before. This is the gold embossing. Now, since we're doing the 5-0 with what I'm demonstrating here, and they're going to be cut out, it doesn't matter how I stamp them. So I just kind of slapped them on this block. Okay, I want to leave enough space in between so I can easily line up the 2 framelits when I go to cut it in my Big Shot. But to emboss, you're going to want to use Versamark, which is essentially a sticky ink. So I like to ink this up upside down because it's kind of hard to ink this way, plus it's kind of sticky. And yes, these pads get dirty, not a big deal. So we're going to ink this up good with the Versamark. And then this little guy is called an embossing buddy. He's one of my little best friends when I'm stamping. But what this will do, if you rub it on your cardstock before you stamp, it'll make sure that your embossing powder doesn't stick where you don't want it to stick. That kind of bugs me when I get flicks of it in different places. Now this is all backwards, but it doesn't matter. We're going to cut it out. So we're going to stamp this. Make sure you press down and you get, a real nice application of that ink on your cardstock. You can hear the stick there. And then my embossing powder, I like to keep them in bigger containers with a little plastic spoon. So I can just take my embossing powder, put it over. It's real easy to tap the excess, okay, off back into the containers. You can, a little extra there, but you can see it sticks on there nice. Then all I have to do is take my heat gun and heat it up, and it'll melt and it'll be beautiful, which I'm not going to take time to do that, but you can see here how it's all melted. So that's how I did all of that. We already talked about how to do the TH. The happy is also done with the Bitty banner framelits. If you don't have that, just hand cut it. I will apologize, this gold cord is no longer available. You're getting some in your card kit, but we can't order it anymore. Again, the same way I did the baker's twine, stuck on with a glue dot. Be real careful with your vellum, and again, you're going to have different prints. But when you adhere this, if you have the stripes or the larger dots on it, what I did is I put some adhesive, you can kind of see here, underneath on the back side where these stripes are, because adhesive will show through the vellum and we don't want that. So put a little adhesive where it's not going to show. There is some pieces that you get with little hearts that don't have quite as much room to put adhesive. Honestly, if you just put adhesive in the center, it'll hold it down good enough. But the whole idea is you don't want adhesive showing through it. So that's all I have for you for the 5 cards for the Number of Years bundle card kit. I hope you enjoy making these, and I hope you get lots of use out of the stamp set because it really is a versatile one. And don't forget, I have lots of other ideas that I share with the sets, so don't limit yourself to just these 5. Again, thank you so much for either being part of my Stamps in the Mail Club or for making a purchase this month to receive this card kit for free. Thanks, guys, and as always, make sure if you have any questions at all that you get a hold of me. I'm here to help you in any way that I can.